Hey guys, my name's James.
And I'm Ashley.
3 years ago, we sold our house and we've been traveling across the country ever since.
Hi, I'm Goose. I'm Ashley.
Join us! Good morning, chicklets. How are you all doing today? I am so excited. This is the second time I've been recording this intro because the first time was a bunch of silence. I forgot to turn the mic on.
Really happy James.
I was very upset when I figured that out. Anyways, I am still excited despite having technical issues because look at this, the whole front of the house is completely sheathed in plywood. Despite the fact that it looks like a 12-year-old built it because some are painted and some are not. Let me explain why that is. So, as you guys know, we are trying to do this on a budget. We're trying to do it as affordably as possible. So, the original owner, instead of putting sheetrock on the interior of the building, she actually used plywood because it was just a shop. So she wasn't worried about it being finished nicely. But because these were inside, they're perfectly good pieces of plywood. There's just a few minor issues, like right here you can see there's a couple little holes, and those holes are where she had her internet and her cables running into the house. So there's little gaps like that, and then some things like this corner right here was just a little bit messed up, but very minor issues. And that's what Ashley's going in right now with this caulking, and she's caulking all of the holes.
Yeah, I am. Don't put that in.
That way there is less likelihood of bugs infiltrating in the cracks, less likelihood of moisture coming in.
I'm not paying attention now.
Anyways, and the reason why some of these are painted and some of these are not is because she painted the inside of the house. So some of these were used for the interior part that she had painted, and some were not. Some are newer pieces of plywood. So that's why it looks like a 10-year-old built it, and it looks like a fort. But trust me, it is perfectly sound, perfectly good pieces of plywood. We're just having to fill in some of these cracks because we're doing it on a budget. But I was saying earlier, with your little bandana and you working here, babe, you look like the Rosie the Riveter chick. Very nice. That crack is pretty good, so you probably don't have to worry about that. I would use some of the bigger ones.
I'm sealing it all.
Oh, okay.
We aren't getting bugs in this hizzy.
Nice job, babe. So the house is pretty much completely, all the gaps and stuff have been caulked and filled, so now we're ready to put on our house wrap. There are a few gaps at the top that we still need to do, but we ran out of caulk. So our goal today is just to get this bottom 12 feet or so wrapped so we can get this door in, because my dad's actually coming up to help move that heavy sliding glass door. So we want to make sure we're utilizing his time as best we can. So without further ado,
dizzy from the way this world is turning, different from the way our mothers told us. Can't seem to figure out which way is up or down. Can you point me in the right direction now? We're all just trying to find our place, but each day could go a million ways. I guess we're all running the same race. We'll make it up as we go now. We'll shake it up until we figure it all out. And it might be harder than it seems, but we're catching up to all our dreams. And we'll make it up as we go now, go now, go now. Make it up as we go now, go now, go now.
all right, now that we have the house wrapped, I got to deal with how we want to cut the house wrap. And depending on what videos you've watched, what blogs you've read, how you've been trained, maybe do this professionally, there are so many different ways that people have done to cut it. But what I'm going to be doing is cutting in at angles here. So that way we can put this flap over, but then we have this flap to lift up and then eventually fold back over the door. So that way it acts as a shingle going over the top of that flange on the top of the door. That's how I'm gonna do it. I would be curious to know, what do you guys suggest? What have you seen that you think works the best? How would you go about cutting this and flashing for windows and doors? then this will actually cut even further up, so we can slide the door up and into it, and then put this back over the top. Now granted, I will want to cut some of this off here. Alright guys, so the next project that we're working on is creating the sill pan for the sliding glass door that's going to go in the opening out there. And basically what I did is I bought this 10-inch wide, 25-foot long galvanized roll of steel that I will then cut to not only make my sill pan, but also to put as flashing on the very bottom of the plywood on the outside, even on top of the house wrap, to act as that extra barrier of protection. So it's just one more layer of waterproofing. But for right now, we're creating that sill pan, which is a pan that the door sits in. So if any water goes through the door, around the cracks, it'll hit the pan and go out instead of into the house.
All the questions they're afraid to ask, can't seem to pin it down. It's like it can't be found. That picture perfect life we're chasing down. We're all just trying to find our place, but each day could go a million ways. I guess we're all running the same race. We'll make it up as we go now. We'll shake it up until we figure it all out. And it might be harder than it seems, but we're catching up to all our dreams. And we'll make it up as we go now.
Okay guys, I've got my homemade sill here. It may not be the most beautiful thing in the world, but it should do its job. So basically what you have is you have about a 1/2 inch, 3/4 lip here in the back, and then the door will sit in on this. I have laid some caulking underneath it, so as soon as we put the door on, it'll smush it down and give it a nice seal there. And then as you can see, the water will go, if it goes in the door, it'll hit this lip and come forward. And we're not actually gonna run caulking horizontally here. We're gonna put some perpendicular strips of caulking here, so that way the water will run out and then down and off the lip here. And then if we look closer on our corners here, you can kind of see how I did it. What I did is I cut this flange and folded it forward, and then actually what I'm going to be doing now is getting some flashing tape and tape this corner here, so it should be completely watertight, and then the door will sit in here like this, and then that way it should be a totally watertight seal. That's the theory, at least. Like I said, it may not be the prettiest thing in the world. You can see it's got all sorts of bumps and whatnot, but theoretically, once everything is in and your flooring's in, you shouldn't see it at all. So it should get the job done, and it was at an affordable price.
We're making it up as we go now, go now, go now. We'll make it up as we go now. We'll shake it up until we figure it all out. And it might be harder than it seems, but we're catching up to all our dreams. We'll make it up.
You talking to us? Doing the bar. All right. You want to hold it, Dad, and I will get the level and check some things.
Anybody else want some?
Go wipe yourself off. Oh.
just hold the middle and you'll be fine.
Hold it. Oh, wait. Your dad was appalled. He wanted me to go clean myself.
I mean, that's pretty darn level. I maybe got a tiny bit shim on the bottom. Tiny bit more.
You only got a little bit more to do. Don't hit my sensor.
Skin your hair with it. All right, that should be pretty darn level. I mean, got a tiny bit more maybe.
There you go. You got it.
They say that nothing good comes easy, but they said that it's worth the fight. I'm tired of turning the page to see it in hindsight. I've never been a man to make plans. I like to take life as it comes, but now I see clear that I want you here for good. Maybe it's as simple as we've made.
All right guys, so I have some good and bad news. The good news is we are starting the process of finally getting water up here at the property. The bad news is the city has rejected our proposal for doing a rainwater catch system. So we're having to go with the standard digging a well type of process for getting water. But we have that scheduled and whatnot, and our location is picked out right back here. But in order for the truck to get here to back in and drill that well, we need to get rid of this tree and probably some of these smaller trees back here so their giant well digging truck can back in and dig here. So that's what I'm doing this morning, is I'm clearing this place out and getting ready for gravel to be brought in later this week, and then eventually they'll be able to bring in their truck and drill the actual well.
Tell me I'm the one, tell me I'm loved, tell me you're all so certain. Take a deep breath, you've been coming undone, searching for someone. Tell me it's real, tell me it's fake, this is the curtain call. Life has begun, so tell me you're done, searching for someone. There's always a million reasons to hide your heart inside all the walls you've built for keeping me outside. You always were the one to be strong, but it's time to put down your guard. You don't gotta make this so hard. Ooh, and maybe all you ever thought you wanted was all just leading you to make the choice. Tell me I'm the one, tell me I'm loved, tell me you're all so certain. Take a deep breath, you've been coming undone, searching for someone. And all we ever do is run. And I know it's hard to love someone. And if you stop and look to me, I'm looking right on back at you.
I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't quite sure how the electric little 14-inch chainsaw would handle this tree, but I am quite impressed. It's cutting through it like a champ, cut it down, no issues, so quite impressed. I've had previous electric outdoor power tools before, like blowers and weed whackers. Wasn't that impressed, but these Hart ones are pretty amazing, I'm not gonna lie. The closer to the ground you get, the better with it. There you go. Perfect. All right, that's good. Go the other way. You want me to do it?
Trying to put me back. He's blowing it down.
Oh no, my leaf blower.
Then he just broke. You know I got that on camera, right? I don't know how he can do that with one hand. I can barely do it with two. Not saying that I needed 3 arms. Just saying I'm impressed that he can do that with one. I mean, I know he's stronger, but there's where the tree was.
Dizzy from the way this world is turning, turning. Different from the way our mothers told us. Can't seem to figure out.
Yeah, I am.
Oh my god. Okay. Composure.
Grow
Ashley
up.
is caulking all of the cracks. Is that better? She is filling in all of the cracks with caulk and getting it so that way there's
That was not even close to better. Grow up.
that way there is less likelihood of